This is the first video in what I plan to be a series of videos on how I design stages in SketchUp. The topic's come up several times recently, and a bunch of people have asked me questions. Instead of trying to answer them individually via text or message or whatever, it's easier to show everyone what I do. So this first video is going to be very basic. It's going to be just how to get started, how to get SketchUp, how to get the basically how to make templates, the ones that I use, and how to manipulate the pieces and the individual objects in SketchUp. After that's done, I'll do some more videos that are more in depth on specific things I do and how I do them. But let's get started on this first one. So the easiest way to download SketchUp is just to search for SketchUp download, click all download SketchUp, and then the best thing to do is get the most recent SketchUp make for Mac or Windows, whatever you've got. You can get the Pro and you get, I think, a 30-day trial, but there's really no need for it. SketchUp Make will do everything that you need, and it's free. So once you download that and you open it, it'll come up something like this. To start with, you'll just use the regular feet and inches template. It doesn't really matter because we're going to change those shortly. This is what comes up when you select Start Using SketchUp. Now the first thing you want to do is actually download the files that I use. There's some other ones out there, but I've uploaded the ones that I personally use, and I will actually include a link to those in the description. But the easiest way to get to them is, if you don't use the description of the video, is to do this. You click on File, 3D Warehouse, Get Models. Then the first thing you want to search for is USPSA Big Prop File. And that's mine that comes up. So you want to download that, accept everything. You don't want to load this directly into your SketchUp model just yet. So click No. You want to save it as, and I've already got this one saved under my SketchUp stages as USPSA Big Prop File. Save it wherever you want, it doesn't really matter. The other thing is USPSA Empty Bay. And this is mine here. Again, download, accept the terms, no, save wherever you want. So once you've got just a blank page open in SketchUp, you want to open those files. So first you want to open the big prop file. Once the big prop file is open, you want to File, Save as Template. Name it whatever you'd like. Click Save. It's already saved. I'll override it. After the big prop file template is saved, you want to open the empty bay. And you'll also want to save it as a template. Name it whatever you'd like. I've already got that one there. We're not going to override it because it's the same. So once you've got both of those templates saved, when you open SketchUp, this screen will come up. You click on Template, and I like to start with the big prop file. Click Start Using SketchUp. Once the big prop file comes up, go back to your desktop, open up SketchUp again, and then click on Empty Bay. Start using SketchUp. Once both of the files are open, you can select back and forth between them. If you're using Windows, you can use the alternate tab keys to do that. Click alternate tab and it'll switch back and forth. The first thing you want to do is in the empty bay. So just some general maneuvering. It really helps if you have a mouse with a clickable scroll wheel. So you use the scroll wheel on the mouse to zoom in and out. When you click and hold, it rotates as you move the mouse left and right, and you click the scroll wheel and hold it down as you're moving the mouse, and that rotates up, down, left, right. And then if you hold the shift button down and then click and hold the scroll wheel, you can pan left, right, up, down, and it basically helps center whatever you're looking at. So a clickable scroll wheel on a mouse is pretty much a necessity for this. You can use these tools over here on the left to actually do that. You can use the rotate tool, and you just click with a single mouse and rotate, the pan and the zoom in and out. But if you have a clickable scroll wheel, that really helps. So once you open up the empty bay, the first thing you want to do is highlight the entire thing. So click on the top left corner, drag down, encompass the entire bay, and then you're going to use the scale command. Now, I've set these up on hotkeys, basically. Right when I click S, the scale command comes up. It's also this button here. If you want to set up the shortcuts, the hotkeys, you click on Window, Preferences, Shortcuts, and you'll type in the tool you want to use, scale. You can see I've assigned it an S. I'm going to tell you what I use for hotkeys. You're welcome to set those, or you don't have to, but they make life much easier. So once you select the entire bay and click scale, you're going to want to select this little box down here, and that means you can make the bay as large or as small as you'd like. And again, I'm using these the maneuvering shortcuts using the clickable scroll wheel to help me out. So we've got some bays at my local club that aren't very deep but are pretty wide, and you've got a little tape measure here, so you can measure. You click one spot, click another. The length down here is 48 feet. These bays are 15 to 20 yards deep, so that's about right. And it's 58 feet wide. They're about 20 yards wide, so that's about correct. That's close enough. It's from my experience, it's easier to build a stage in a smaller bay than what's actually on the ground. And when you start putting props into the bay, it's easier to put them closer than what you expect to once you're on the ground. It's very easy to spread things out once you actually start building the stage on the ground. It's a lot more difficult to condense things and still get the angles to work out. Alright, so we got the bay the size we want. We're going to go back over here to the big prop file. And again, I'm using my easy navigation tools. You can see I've got a lot of things already built. I'm going to keep adding to this file and keep updating the link, or the 3D warehouse file. So whenever you click the link, it should be updated. There's a swinging bridge, there's Texas stars, there's all kinds of different target combinations I have made, or this file was already the basis for this file was already in place. I found one and then I've added to it. So say we want to put a Texas star in the stage. There's a Texas star over here. So we'll click on it. Again, for Windows users, you can just hit Control-C to copy, alternate tab to switch windows, Control-V to paste, and zoom in, and we're going to place that on the face of the bay. So once you place it, the move command automatically comes up. That's that 4-arrow cursor you see. Depending on what face you highlight of that object, or that group, I believe is what it's called, you can rotate that. So if you're looking at that and even if you're in the move command and you highlight that top face, you see these 4 red crosses in the middle, or on the top face. That means you can rotate it. So you can see in the background, this is the back of the bay. That's going to be the 180 reference. So if I click here, and in the bottom right hand corner, you can see the angle measurement down here, negative 53 degrees. So if I go to about 0, that's going to make it perpendicular. So if you've got that moving around, you can just type the number 0, and you can see in the bottom right it goes to 0. Then you hit enter, and that will automatically rotate. Now you can do the same thing if you want to go to 90 degrees. You can type in 90 and hit enter, and it automatically rotates 90 degrees. So we're going to go back to 0. And then the key to SketchUp is maneuvering in whichever or on whichever axis you want. That's really the key. There are 3 axes in SketchUp. And we're going to stop right there. I'm going to go to the line command and kind of show you those. So we're on this face, and it says that we're on the face. So if I go up, that's the blue axis. If I go straight back, that's the green axis. And if I go left or right, that's the red axis. So I can go down for blue, which is going to be kind of difficult to see. But you can go down below this face for blue, up for blue. Let's see, left and right are red, and then back and forward are green. So you have to remember that. Most of the time you're going to use the blue axis or the blue face to maneuver things around. So also I select for the select command, I made the shortcut the spacebar. So anytime I want to get back to just the normal cursor where I can select anything I want, I click the spacebar. So we're going to click this object, hit the M key for move. And apparently move is not set up, so we're going to set that up real quick. Nope, not shift. I meant to have a capital, so we're going to assign move. We want rotate to be R, and it already is. Okay, I'm not sure why move wasn't there, so M for move. And I'm going to click. So when you move an object, you need to click on the face you want it to stay on, ideally. So I want it to stay on this green surface, so I'm going to click anywhere away from the object, because as you get close, you can see those little purple balls come up. Those are basically snaps. And so it tries to, if you get close to those, it tries to reference those points. It's great for putting objects together and using them as a reference, but if I'm just moving this freeform, I want to click somewhere outside of the object on the face. So I'm going to click here once, and as I release, I can move it around. So I can move this anywhere I want to. You can see if I go perpendicular to the back wall, I stay on the green axis. It's kind of difficult to tell, but that line is staying green. If I move it up, it's the same way. If I move it left, it kind of snaps to 90 degrees left and 90 degrees right. Same way if I go up, I can actually move this off of the surface and then down underneath the surface if I were to rotate around. But I want to keep it on the surface. So I'm going to move that. We'll say we'll move it here. So the move command is very key. You can move the object anywhere you want to. If you click R, once that object is selected, that's the rotate command. Now, like I said earlier, if you go back to the move command, you can actually rotate it by different faces. If you want to rotate it around the green axis, you can do this, and you can hit escape to go back once you select something. Most of the time for building stages, you're going to want to rotate on the same face, the blue face. So you're going to use the top of the object, and you're going to rotate it around however you want to, and it's going to stay on that face, on that same plane. Again, hit escape to get out of that command, and it'll go back to the way it was. But you can also use the rotate, which is the R. And the easiest way to do a rotate, if you want to keep it on this face right here, make sure the blue axis or the blue compass or protractor looking thing is up. The first spot you click is going to be the vertex or the center of rotation. So if I click it here and I can drag out any direction I want to. Say I want to drag this way, and I click again, it's going to rotate around my original click. That's another reason why if you go back to the move command and you use these red boxes, it rotates around the center of the object, which is nice. But let's say we want to put a wall and rotate a wall around a certain end. So we're going to go back to the prop file, select a wall, Control C to copy, alternate tab to switch windows, Control V to paste. So say you want to rotate the wall around this point right here. The wall is selected. If it's not selected, you hit the space bar and then click on the wall to select it. You're going to hit the R key for rotate, and then you're going to select the center of this end, ideally, and these snap points really help you out. As you get close, they kind of pop into place, and if it says midpoint, that's kind of what you want typically. So you click midpoint. Sorry. And then you click really anywhere. It doesn't matter because it's still going to rotate around this center axis point. But you can click that, and then you can rotate it around. The further you get your cursor away from the object, the finer the adjustment you have. If you move it close, even small cursor movements swing at a big amount. But if you get your cursor way out to the side, you can incrementally adjust it very small amounts. So that should help you out. Those are the two biggest commands, or the move and rotate, since most of the objects you're going to use are in this file here. Basically, you're just going to click and drag over. So that's a fault line over here. Copy, move over to this other window, paste. Move command automatically comes up. I'm going to click the red X and rotate this around. I'm going to go back to this file. This is all a group right here of this target array. We're going to copy that, paste it. We want to rotate it around, move it this way. Another thing that may help is the snap command. We're going to go back to the prop file. We want to put a different fault line here. Copy that over. We need to put it somewhere, so we'll just click it on the face. Again, the move command automatically comes up. So if we wanted to connect these two together, the easiest way to do it on the move command is go to the edge, and it says endpoint in component. And you click to move and go over here and snap it to wherever you like. You can do it end to end this way, or you can actually make it more of a square this way. And you click, and those two pieces, they're not joined together in that you can still select them individually, but they are connected and that there's not a gap. They're snapped to each other for the sake of just making things more consistent. You can do that with walls, make them end to end. You can snap targets, the bases together to make them side by side, that kind of thing. The only other thing that really may help is the scale command initially. If you want to make these fault lines longer, you can always stitch several together. In the prop file, there are 4 different links here you can use. You can rotate them around. But if you just want to stretch this out to make it one long fault line, you can use the scale command, similar to what we did with the bay to start with when we first opened the file. Spacebar brings your cursor back. Click on the item, hit S for scale. Now if you click on one of the edges, one of the corners, you can move it different ways. You hit escape. So, it kind of depends on how you want to make it. If you just want to make it longer, ideally you want to click on the middle box on the end of the piece. There are 9 boxes. You want to click on the very center one. And you can click it. I'm going to zoom out to show you what I'm doing. And you can scale it. You can make it bigger or smaller. Now down here in the bottom right hand corner, instead of an actual numerical measurement, you're doing it based on the length of the original piece. If the original piece was length of 1 and you want to make it twice as long, you just type 2 and then you click enter or hit the enter key, and it makes it twice as long as it was originally. A lot of times I just freeform it to make it the length I want, but if you want to be precise, you can actually make that a percentage of the original piece's length. I think that's all to start with. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Again, I plan on making some more videos in the future, going more in depth. I'll actually walk you through how I build a stage, some things I think about, different ways I do things, but this ought to give you the basis. You've got the big prop file here that's got most all the items you need. I will show you, I'm sure in some of my videos later on how I make new props or new target arrays or things like that. But for now, you can just click and drag or click and copy and paste into the bay. Where'd it go? There we go. And set things up. Like I mentioned, it's helpful if you make things in the bay smaller or closer together than they actually will be in person. It's easy to spread things out. Once you build them on the ground, it's hard to condense things and keep all the angles right. I'll also show you how to do a animation walkthrough in the future. And we're going to call that good for the first video. Like I said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I will try and address those either with future videos or I'll respond to your questions. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments as well. And hopefully that helps some people, and look for more videos coming up soon. Thank you very much.